Hello everyone. So the genocide in Lebanon has been ongoing on its peak and nobody seems to worry about the situation in the Lebanon. Only yesterday in a single strike of 10 minutes 184 lives were executed and they were all civilians. Out of 184 according to the reports of BBC, 32 were kids. Yes, children. And that is a war crime. You can't kill babies and women, kids in the war. But out of the habit for 2.5 years, Israel has been killing every civilian without any reason. And this genocidal regime is always giving an excuse that Israel has a right to exist. Does Lebanon have a right to exist? Because you are killing them out of your habit and not giving any excuses. On Piers Morgan last night, there was the Israeli ambassador in UN. He said that he has no idea that how many civilians has been killed, but he was sure that how many terrorists has been executed. So that has been happening from Israeli for 2.5 years. That they always know that how many terrorists they have executed or neutralized, but when you question them that how many civilians are dispersed or being bombed or executed or dispersed or being gunned down, they will always say you we don't know. It is a propaganda. We don't have the exact numbers. Hamas is a propaganda. Lebanon is a propaganda. Everyone is a propaganda when you ask a question that why you are killing the civilians. And they kill civilians just because of one reason, because they want a greater Israel project. And it cannot be completed unless they disperse the whole population on the borders around them. And they are doing it with the alliance of a Christian Zionism, because Christian Zionism has allegiance with the Israeli supremacy and Israeli expansionism in the Middle East. And it is not possible and it cannot be achieved without the support of a Christian Zionism. A Christian Zionism, you could, align all the Western powers, at least in terms of financial support and military support as well. Imagine that America is giving $350 billion aid to the US. What do they make of this money? Did you ever think of that? No, because they always neutralize this money in killing the innocent civilians. And their excuse is that they are killing the proxies of Iran, which is at some point you have to agree that Iran has been involved in creating and developing the proxies around the region so that they can actually combat with the Israelis. But then you cannot produce as an excuse that therefore there are the proxies, we will kill the civilians. This is a war crime. More innocent children have been killed in 2.5 years of this regional conflict than World War I and World War II combined. And the world seems okay with this because this has been done by the Israel. And Israel is being unstoppable. And many people think that it is just Netanyahu. Even if Netanyahu goes through this election and people are somehow defenestrating him out of this chair, the man who will comes in, he will start the project from where Netanyahu has just stopped or somehow paused. And this project of Israeli expansionism will keep going unless the Christian Zionism is alive. Because Christian Zionism also hates the Muslims. And this war against Lebanon, against Gaza, against Middle East, against Iran is not because they want to liberate the people of Persia or they want to liberate the people of Gaza, West Bank, Arabs. No. There is only one reason. If you keep an eye on American congressmen from Republican to Democratic Party, they would always say that Islam is the threat to the West. And they have sort of developed this notion that they want to convince their public that if we do not kill the Muslims, then we will have no future. It is sort of like they have aligned their fate with killing their Muslims. And they are not hiding this fact. They are very much open about this fact. They do not hide and seek behind what they have the illegitimate desires in their mind or in their ideology. That's a fact. Whatever you are seeing or whatever you see that is happening around the region, it is just because of they believe that they have a Judeo-Christian civilization, and when two powers are aligned together, they want to neutralize one power or one faction of the society, and that is Muslim. Why? Because they think that being a Muslim, we or anyone who believes that he has a Muslim faith is a threat to Christians or Jews. Imagine this situation. It is very dangerous because religious ideologues and religious beliefs are very dangerous when it comes to killing someone and giving the excuse that being Christian, if I don't kill a Muslim, I will have a threat to my existence. And world never works like that. But it is happening and nobody is actually putting an eye on this factor. So coming back to the Lebanon, it has been 1100 people died since the war in Iran. Yes, 1100 people have been already executed, and there are thousands. According to some sources, it has 1.2 million people has been dispersed from the Lebanon southern borders. Where they would go, these people will find some refugees in the West, and they will go through the refugee crisis, and then they would again put the excuse that some numbers are estimated that around 1.2 million people has been dispersed. And imagine where would they go? They would find refugees in different parts of the world, Western Europe, Britain, America. And then the same people will brag about the situation that we do not accept these refugees. But when these refugees were being bombed, being killed, nobody was taking the notice. Nobody was stopping the regime. And look, Israel can be stopped only if Western powers, Western Christians, Zionists stop funding the regime. But they would never do it because it is in their interest. They would think and they believe that killing Muslim is good for their existence, which is not true at all. And many powers who has some say in their society are now opening up on this issue. People like Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Alex Jones, Piers Morgan. At least they have a voice. They have an audience where they can talk and somehow, distinguish the debate that Muslims are not bad. Muslims are not the enemy of West. If they, if that was the case, there are millions of Muslims already living in the West. What did they do? They just live their life. They are supporting their families. They are contributing in economy. They support the governments. They do jobs. They are living normal life. But it is coming from one faction of the society, and that is Judeo-Christian civilization excuses that we have a sort of a unique civilization and we have to protect it. And protecting from who? It is just Muslims. And by doing this, I'm sure that it will never serve the common man. It will never serve the humanity, never serve the civilians, because the more radical elements will have an excuse that since they have been inflicted a war upon, now they have a right to defend itself or themselves. And what will happen? There will be more bombing, there will be more chaos, there will be more agony, there will be more psychopaths, there will be more suicidal elements in the society. And eventually, who will suffer, we don't know. But for sure, it will be civilians. Because the powers who are deciding the fate of the world, they will always feel safe because they have influence and they have opportunities in all the crises that they made. And since you all know, Harari says that the political disasters are man-made created. Yes, he always believed that in Homo Deus, he says that natural disasters are over. It now whatever we see now, whatever we face, It is a political disaster, and political disaster can be created and orchestrated by the politicians because they want power.